Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Zaron!
Elizabeth!
Zaron, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I've been missing you.
Yeah, I know. It's been like 20 minutes.
I know. I was like, hey, I went outside. I forgot who you were. I walked back in. I was like, Elizabeth!
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Do you know what's ridiculous?
Yes, I do, Elizabeth.
Oh, do share.
Yeah. Do you ever heard of a little drink called Gator Load?
Gator Load?
Yeah, you know.
I know Gatorade.
Oh, yeah, you're familiar. Well, Gatorade also used to make a thing called Gator Load.
Oh.
Yeah. It's this.
Okay.
Gator Load 280.
280.
So Gator Load is a, quote, specially formulated to supply the body with useful carbohydrates, which the body converts to glycogen without the bulk of large quantities of pasta. And it is this extra supply of glycogen prior to a strenuous athletic event that helps you perform at your peak for longer periods of time. Gator Load is available in a convenient, easy-to-use 12-ounce single-serve, blah, 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 blah.
So it's carbo
right.
loading.
So it's carbo loading as a drink, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a funny little bit, which is, do you know much about the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Utah Jazz?
I know enough.
I told you a little bit about them recently.
I know enough to be dangerous.
There you go. Remember when the trains? You love trains.
God, I love trains.
I told you about the trains, the great Air Jordan train heist.
Right.
I mentioned some shoes, and they were sold in the Utah Jazz, the finals with the Bulls.
Right.
Well, in that series, when there was the flu game in 1997,
Yeah.
Well, back in 1988, Gatorade had invented this thing called Gator Load, and they hadn't really, popularized it. But it was basically spaghetti in a plastic bottle.
It's like a thing of Ensure.
Yeah,
basically.
it's the opposite of what you want before a game. So the equipment
you want it like
manager,
the night before.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe or even 2 days before. So flash forward, at this point, we're in 1997, the NBA Finals, Salt Lake City. The equipment manager for the Bulls accidentally got Gator Load instead of Gatorade.
No, stop,
and loaded them up, and the players were like having cramps, and their stomachs were bloated, distended. It was one of the worst fails of all time. Yeah, because Gator Load.
That would have both teams or just the Bulls?
The one trainer said, no, just the Bulls. The trainer said it was like eating baked potatoes.
Oh God, that's like the episode of The Office where Michael Scott carbo loads like 5 minutes before running a race with fettuccine Alfredo.
Exactly. So the Bulls ended up losing 78-73. If you hear the point totals, you're like, the Bulls? What? That's crazy. Here we go. Why?
78-73.
Gator
But it was
Load.
close.
Yeah, but they came back to win the series. Go Bulls.
Yeah, there it is. You know what else is ridiculous?
What else, Elizabeth?
Mass appeal counterculture.
Oh, I like that.
Huh? This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It's always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous.
You damn right.
Zaron, are you familiar with Banksy?
The tagger graffiti artist?
Graffiti artist.
Yes.
Let me woman-splain to you.
Please. I love that.
Banksy's a pseudonym.
What?
So it's not a real name. Like
his mom didn't name him Banksy.
We don't know the government name.
Huh.
English. He's an English artist. Like we said, a graffiti artist, but not in the sense of taggers or like those who just scribble on things.
Yeah, no, he throws pieces up and does like real art.
Yeah, the art, it's actually very much in the tradition of Italian graffiti art, like the OG graffiti.
Yeah.
That's very visually striking and political.
Okay.
So like use of negative space, monochromatic palettes, really bold color as highlights. It's very, there's immediacy to it, accessibility in the imagery. Yes. And he primarily uses...
Thank you, Art Forum. This is great.
You're so welcome. He primarily uses stencil-based
That's what I was going to say.
graffiti.
The stencil, that's what I think of the Italians is the stencil.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And so it's quick to pull off.
Yeah.
It's visually sharp. And that technique also aligns with earlier street artists like Blek Lerat. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, totally. And also, it also conforms with the hyper-consumer and the mass production aspects of our culture.
Precisely.
So it comments on everything.
So like Blek Lerat was really the one who pioneered stencil graffiti in the 80s in France. But And Banksy, rather than aligns with him, you could go so far as to say he ripped him off.
Steals, yeah. I think that's
And so Black Lerat started in 1986. There was a general strike by students and workers that just ground France to a halt. And that's when we started seeing these things. A lot of visual and thematic similarities. But Banksy also does installations, mixed media. I'm going to put this into art speak for you.
Please.
Banksy's oeuvre is rich in political and social critique.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So basically, he confronts themes like capitalism, consumerism, war, authoritarianism, surveillance. And it's satirical work, thought-provoking, and it blends like dark humor with this powerful imagery.
Yeah, like making light of domination or subjugation.
Right. And let me give you a brief history. So in the 90s, Banksy emerged as part of the underground graffiti scene in Bristol, England.
Oh, yes.
And then moved to London in the early 2000s, and that's where his stencil-based stuff got, more recognition.
Okay.
He starts satirizing politics, consumerism, war, like targeting the powerful. In 2004... Banksy released Banksy's Die-Faced tenor, like defaced, but a fake 10-pound note featuring Princess Diana.
Yeah.
He, in 2005, painted on the West Bank barrier in Palestine, doing this really powerful anti-war imagery.
Is that the one where they lift up the wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
2006 created Barely Legal, which was an LA art show that had a live spray-painted elephant that critiqued global poverty. 2010 directed Exit Through the Gift Shop.
Yes.
Great documentary.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. About street art, commercialization of the art world, nominated for an Academy Award.
I bet he did not attend.
Yeah, no. Well, we don't know.
Oh, good point,
Good
Elizabeth.
Point. Thank you, Elizabeth. 2013, I did like a 1-month residency in New York and left Newark all over the city each day.
Oh, cool.
2020, did a COVID-19 themed graffiti in the London Underground.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
2022, painted murals in Ukraine during the war, depicting like the resilience and the defiance of the people.
Slava Ukraine.
Yeah. So Banksy was originally very counterculture. And then people like Brad Pitt started buying pieces and other artists started to bite the style. And it kind of has gone a little out of fashion. It's it's not edgy anymore.
I would say that it's become like so much so that it's canon. It's like museum.
Yes.
Which means it's
most definitely.
Stultifying.
So, Banksy's widely celebrated, and that runs counter to the counterculture origin. But there are a lot of criticisms. So there's accusations of commercialism and hypocrisy. He's supposed to be all anti-capitalist and anti-establishment, but then the pieces sell for millions of dollars at auction.
I thought you were down for Adbusters, man. What's this?
Oh my God, Adbusters.
I love dropping that on you.
I know, every time. There's an accusation of exploitation of street art culture.
Yeah, like totally see that.
Other graffiti
Especially
artists.
the French. I bet they were.
Ouf la la.
Yeah.
The other graffiti artists see Banksy as like profiting off of this culture that's criminalized for others.
Yep.
People talk about that issue of originality, it's highly derivative about, the Italians and Black Lerat. So are you a fan? You like...
I've been a fan. I wouldn't say that I still love Basquiat. You'll always hear me love, even though he's become very much a mainstream artist, that people are now like not just biting, but it's become like a language, a visual language. So it's lost a lot of its hit.
But I found with Basquiat, it's almost as if people have an idea of what the work is, but they're not familiar with his work itself.
Yeah, because there's so many pieces that I never ever see, like the Joe Louis stuff. So I really like his stuff a lot. And that hasn't happened the way that it has with Banksy, where it's been almost drained of its meaning and value for me as a witness to it, or as even as a participant when it's street art.
They're not particularly challenging, the Banksy pieces, but aesthetically,
and the critique
cool.
is a little bit wan at this point.
I feel like they harken back to that early 2000s when people were really starting to share images online and use them as like avatars.
It feels very
such.
George W. Bush, like Iraq War, kind of like, let's protest this, like, and then carry out like all that World Trade Organization protest, that energy. He's like on top of that wave surfing.
But you had online image sharing for the first time.
Yeah.
So like you could make statements with pictures more than in other means of communication, and you could really you could suddenly save images really easily. So that's a good point. Whole Tumblr, We Heart It, Pinterest aspect of the internet now we're like oversaturated with it. There's a GIF for everything.
Yeah, post-social media.
Don't get me started on AI art. But like Banksy, to me, represents that time where those kind of striking, powerful images were harder to come by. And anyway, so
it's also so easy to commodify things and to claim them now. Like it not that it was always easy. You could just right click, but I mean, like it was not like
the on-demand
finding
printing
things,
stuff too. Because when I was looking up examples of Banksy art, you can have like it's printed on all sorts of shower curtains and like it's just random
car covers, fans for your room.
It's bizarre. So like I said, Banksy's real identity is not known. We don't know.
Yes. Still, nobody knows.
There are all sorts of theories, though. Let me give you some of my favorites.
Please.
The most popular theory is that Banksy is actually Robin Gunningham, a British artist. He was born in Bristol in 1973, aligns with Banksy's known connections to that street art scene. In 2008, the Mail on Sunday conducted an investigation linking Banksy to Gunningham. Based on interviews with former classmates, acquaintances. They found all these old photos where Gunningham has like a spray paint stencil kit that's like similar to the Banksy style.
Sure.
In 2016, this is so crazy, scientists at Queen Mary University of London used geographic profiling, like you do with serial killers, to analyze the locations of Banksy's artwork.
Okay.
And then the study found that Banksy's pieces were often created near places linked to Gunningham's past residences and social activities.
Okay.
And then after like the rise to fame, Gunningham like pretty much disappeared from public records. And like, so there's all this speculation like he's laying low. Another theory, one that I like, is that Banksy is Robert Del Naya of Massive Attack.
This is the one I've heard.
And I don't say that just because I'm a huge Massive Attack
You
fan.
and me both, girl.
I mean, like, huge.
Yeah.
But there's a good argument to be made. So before becoming a musician, Del Naya, he was a well-known graffiti artist from Bristol.
Yeah.
He was part of the Wild Bunch crew, and that was like, they were the pioneers of Bristol's street art
Bristol
scene
style.
in the 80s. Yeah,
totally.
Even Banksy himself has credited Del Naya as an influence. So
credit yourself as an influence.
Right? Journalist Craig Williams, he noticed a pattern between Massive Attack's tour dates and the appearance of new Banksy artworks.
Oh.
Like he could connect them all through these various places. They both have very similar, strong anti-establishment views reflected in their work. Banksy wrote the foreword to a book about Del Naya's artwork. In 2013, Banksy's month-long New York residency was rumored to be inspired by Massive Attack's album 100th Window.
Okay.
And then when they asked him directly, Del Naya, he denied it, but is like, yeah, but I know him. So another theory is
there's other theories after this one.
I've got more. Another theory is that Banksy is Jamie Hewlett, the co-creator of Gorillaz.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, there are big similarities in like the artistic style and the themes, but it's not like really supported by evidence.
Yeah, I would say that one matches like 1-to-1.
It just sounds fun.
Yeah, I think Robert from Massive Attack's much more.
The theory of what I really believe is the case is that Banksy isn't one person, but rather a collective.
Ah, of course. That makes the most sense.
Some people think that Banksy's a group of artists together rather than a single person.
Oh,
that explains like the large scale and rapid production of work all over the world.
Okay. And also the travel.
The travel, yeah. Because like multiple pieces appear in multiple countries within a short time period. So it's really unlikely that one person can do that. He also has these large installations, Dismaland, Waldorf Hotel, that require really significant manpower and logistics and resources. So like a group of artists working under the Banksy name, that makes it feasible.
Could it be like a Dread Pirate Robert situation where there was a Banksy and then he hired a new Banksy to be his assistant and then he let him become the Banksy and now he's retired and then now that one has found a new assistant and let him become Banksy? Yeah, or like Menudo.
Yeah. Or technically 007.
Or yeah, exactly.
You know? I think
call.
It's like they got together and thought, let's call it Banksy.
I like that. That's actually interesting. And a bank of artists.
Well, because that's the other thing. Okay, so you have all these diverse artistic styles and media. There are some stylistic differences from one piece to the next. Yeah. So that suggests multiple contributors.
This is the most fascinating.
I know. It really is.
Good work, Elizabeth.
Remember in 2016, Queen Mary University did the serial killer profiling with the
yes,
location,
you mentioned
right?
that, yeah. Uh-huh.
It found that Banksy's works were concentrated in certain areas, right? But that new ones were appearing worldwide at the same time.
So he couldn't be in two places
it would be absolutely impossible.
He's not Padre Pio.
No, he's not. Maybe. So some compare Banksy to other anonymous or like semi-anonymous artist collectives, like the Guerrilla Girls, female art activists, Wu Ming. Those are those Italian authors who published under a shared name.
Oh, right. That was the like mystery novel, right?
Yeah, it was like as a woman.
Yeah, as a woman. Yeah, totally.
Corpus,
and then won awards for it. And they were like, what do we do?
Yeah. Corpus Delicti is a French street art group.
Okay.
So it's been done before. But then, thanks to Reddit, there's my new favorite theory.
What's your new favorite theory?
Banksy's a woman.
Oh, whoa.
And it's not my favorite theory because I believe it.
I'm kind of embarrassed as a sexist sign. I didn't never considered that.
No, it's not a good theory.
Oh.
So
okay.
there's this user.
You're just throwing it out there?
There's this user, Bobalon, who posted onto the subreddit Pop Culture Chat not too long ago. This super in-depth argument that Banksy's not only a woman, but a very specific woman.
Who is it?
That this is actually what gave me the idea to talk about Banksy today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Bobalon came in hot with the theory.
I love a hot theory.
Super aggressive. Like out of nowhere, it appeared to be to the puzzlement of the people who post on there. It was so entertaining to watch.
No one asked for this.
No. So Bobalon was sort of combative, like I said, and they felt really passionate about the matter. It's like they kicked down the door to the library and were like, listen to me. And everyone's like, what are you
I know who Banksy is.
Exactly. So anyway, they think that Banksy is actually Scottish artist Lucy Mackenzie. A good Glaswegian. So I would try and explain the theory as presented in the Reddit post, but it's very long and convoluted. It was 2 parts. I only read part 1. It involves analyzing the backgrounds of photos and like knowing the layouts of buildings and interpreting interpersonal relationships. It's a lot.
This is like JFK conspiracy parts where we're like comparing a photo and an outline of a head.
And like from what angle would that see the street?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I found the whole thing cross-posted on the Banksy subreddit. And the top comment there kind of sums it up. TikTok Drop Top wrote, quote, I think what is more likely is you have an obsession with this Lucy Mackenzie girl. Your theories hold absolutely no water. They're all ham-fisted ramblings that make no sense at all when looked at through any logical lens. Like, ouch.
Wow.
So no matter who they really are.
Talk about coming in hot.
I mean, hot. Little Peter Tosh for you. So it doesn't matter who Banksy really is. Banksy's making serious coin on the art.
For real.
Yeah. And you know what happens when you have art and you have money?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes?
Crime.
There it is. Crime. Banksy's get stolen. Even the ones stenciled on buildings.
What?
Yeah. So I want to tell you about some of these today, but first we need to pause for some ads. The rich feast that keeps us available to the people.
For free.
And when we return, Banksy. Zaron. Banksy. First off, did you hear about anything cool that you wanted to buy and or know about in those ads?
I wasn't listening. I was playing with the interns.
Okay, great. Because I was listening and I want it all.
Oh, really?
Brand new socks and drawers.
Well, you're much more of a consumer than I am.
I so am. So it's fantastic. Banksy. His art is expensive, so it makes sense that it'd be ripe for theft.
Oh, completely.
Except for the fact that most of them are on walls of very large, immovable buildings.
That's what I'm wondering. Are you taking it down brick by brick? How are you doing this?
Not all the art is on the walls. Most of it is. There are sculptures.
Oh, right.
And they aren't small, but they aren't a 3-story building.
Yeah, so, it's not like having to take a wall down.
Yeah. March 2004, Banksy illegally installed a 10-foot tall statue in a small square near Shaftesbury Avenue in London. And the statue is called The Drinker.
Okay.
And so it was modeled after Rodin's The Thinker.
Sure.
But like a sloppier version, and he had a traffic cone on his head.
Okay.
And that harkens to a very famous statue in Glasgow.
Which is?
The Duke of Wellington statue there. It was put up in 1844. It's in front of the Gallery of Modern Art. And the good people of Glasgow make sure that he is always wearing a traffic cone on his head.
Really?
Yeah, he's on a horse.
Yeah.
Duke of Wellington horse, 4 feet down, and like people scale up. It's a big statue. Always has a traffic cone on his head.
The guy who beat Napoleon.
Yeah. Sometime in the 80s it started. And so the city has asked people to not keep replacing it every time it comes down, but you can't tell them nothing.
Does it mean anything to them?
It's fun. So 2013, there was a proposal to raise the plinth, the base of the statue, to make
people couldn't get up?
Near impossible for drunkards to scale it and put the cone on the head.
Oh, they don't heave it up. They actually get up there?
They climb up.
Wow.
And so the city was like, look, it costs us £100 per call out to take it down. And we're running about 10 grand a year.
Yeah, whatever. That's the price of entertainment.
But the people, they rallied. The plan got ditched. It's become a part of the fabric of Glasgow.
Good.
So during the 2012 Olympics, someone took the normal safety orange cone and swapped it with a gold one for the Olympics to celebrate Scotland's contribution to the record number of gold medals won by Team Great Britain.
Oh, look at that.
2014, when the Scots were voting on independence, someone put a yes cone on the head. It's Glasgow. On Brexit Day, 31st of January, 2020, pro-European supporters, again, it's Glasgow, placed a cone painted to represent the EU flag on the statue. During COVID-19, someone put a blue surgical mask around the ears.
Nice.
Shout out to the lockdown. March of 2022, in support of Ukraine, and then as a protest against Russia's invasion of it, they put a cone with the colors of the Ukrainian flag on there.
Very cool.
And then keeping on topic, in June of 2023, to promote his exhibition at the Gallery of Modern Art in Glasgow.
They put Banksy up there?
Yeah. No, Banksy declared that the statue was his favorite work of art in the UK.
Really?
Because of the cone.
Yeah, I figured that because also the participatory nature and the street aspect, and it's playful.
It's playful, and it is like, punching
it's always changing.
Yeah, and I've seen so many. First of all, I walked by it a ton of times when I lived there.
Yeah, okay.
But like I've seen people putting it back up after like it blows down in a storm. Like,
did you ever help out?
I did not, but I've seen them. And then there are great pictures of people scaling it to put it back up. Yeah,
I imagine people are like cheering and stuff.
Oh yeah. So back to March 2004, the drinker.
Ah, yes.
A few days after it got put up, a group of masked thieves known as Al-Qaeda, led by a self-professed...
I'll give you that one.
Thank you. Don't give it to me. Led by a self-professed, quote, art terrorist named Andy Link. He called himself AK-47.
Oh, geez.
They stole it. So the thing's 6 feet tall, super heavy.
Yeah.
They stole it in broad daylight. They just loaded it onto a flatbed truck. Huh. And it's not a sanctioned piece of public art. It's like all's fair, I suppose.
It's basically trash.
So he said he, quote, kidnapped it. And then he registered this, quote, find, as he said, with the police. Like, look what I found.
Oh, I thought he was going to geocache it or something.
And so then he reaches out to the press. He sent a ransom note to a reporter demanding £5,000 in exchange for the safe return of the sculpture.
That's all? 5,000?
Yeah. So this drums up a lot of coverage until Banksy speaks up.
Yeah.
Banksy's like, I hear you. I will give you £2 towards a can of petrol to set it on fire. Yeah, he's like, whatever. So Link, he just keeps it in his garden. He's got it in his yard. He's like, well,
it's now worth nothing because Banksy disowned him.
Yeah, so then 3 years goes by. He's awesome. Like, you want to get famous off this? Try again. 3 years goes by. Then someone broke into Link's yard while he was away and stole it.
From him.
Yeah, because all's fair, right?
Of course.
Link didn't think all was fair. He went to the police to report the theft.
Of his stolen goods.
Yeah. Al-Qaeda AK-47 went to the police. Reports it's stolen.
What a revolutionary.
He's
what an
so
art terrorist.
Upset. Yeah, right? 12 years goes by.
Give me back my stuff.
Yeah, he's like ACAB until it's
all funny until it's my stolen statue.
12 years goes by. Sure. World keeps turning. 2019, the statue reappeared.
Ooh.
Not in someone's yard.
Like Brigadoon.
No, it showed up in the Sotheby's auction catalog for the contemporary curated sale.
Of course it did.
Estimated sale price of £750,000 to £1 million.
Okay, that's what I thought it'd be like a little over one.
Yeah, and it was like by far the priciest item in the lot. So when asked about selling stolen goods, Sotheby's said it was totally satisfied that the seller had a legal right to put the piece up for auction. And they said, we consulted both the Metropolitan Police and the Art Loss Register. And so Sotheby's sale notes say the work was, quote, retrieved. So this basically means that Banksy stole it back from Link.
Yeah.
And according to Sotheby's and the seller, quote, the work was mysteriously retrieved from Art Kaida's lockup in an anonymous heist, which left AK-47 with nothing but the abandoned traffic cone from atop the drinker's head. That's in the catalog for the auction.
That's amazing. Can you imagine that if Banksy, if it is one person, like let's say it's Robert, and actually was involved in the heist, it's like him and another person, and he got caught trying to steal a Banksy,
like,
and he loses his identity as Banksy because he's trying to steal a Banksy, and he has to say he's not him.
Well, how do you prove you're Banksy?
Well, I don't, good
I don't
point.
know.
Yeah.
So when Banksy items are sold at auction, they're only seen as authentic if they carry a certificate of authenticity from, quote, pest control.
Okay.
And that's this like shadowy organization that handles all of the inquiries for Banksy.
Huh.
And so Banksy and or representatives declined to comment on the matter of the drinker.
This is like if you want to contact Bill Murray, you have to call a payphone?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So Link said that according to the law, since the statue wasn't legally installed, it was in essence abandoned property. And he, quote, found it and reported that to the police registering it. And that Banksy never filed a police report or asked for it back. So he's the clear owner. And he had like documents and case numbers to back this all
like,
up.
What, pirate law precedents?
Such a nerd. And so then he told The Guardian, quote, I did the right thing and reported it to the police. I do not understand how Sotheby's can sell this when I have such proof.
Citing Captain Henry Morgan against the state of Jamaica on 17th. I mean, like, what are we doing?
Sotheby's didn't care.
Really?
They're like,
I bet not.
But
they'll sell anything.
The day before the auction, Sotheby's legal team sent a letter to Link. And they were like, we reassert our rejection to your claim. And it would, quote, require a cogent and persuasive case with appropriate evidence before, after taking instructions from the consignor, altering the planned sale process on any legal grounds related to purported title claim by you. And so they acknowledge, quote, the interesting story of Link's involvement in this piece in 2004. But they also then said there was, quote, no reason why the consignor of the work, subsequently authenticated by Banksy's authentication process, does not have title to sell. But then, 1 hour before the auction was supposed to start, it gets pulled.
What?
Yeah. In a statement, Sotheby's wouldn't offer details, saying only, quote, the work has been withdrawn in agreement with the consignor. So where it is now, I cannot say.
No, he's like, we're just not selling.
We're just not selling. I think he did it just mess with Link, maybe. So Banksy's work traffics in iconography. And one image that he uses as his sort of avatar is a rat.
Yes.
The rat has been Banksy's alter ego for years.
It's usually in the corner and stuff.
Yeah. In his book, Wall and Peace, he said, quote, rats exist without permission. They are hated, hunted, and persecuted. They live in silent despair amid filth, and yet they're capable of bringing entire civilizations to their knees. If you are dirty, insignificant, and unloved, then rats are your ultimate model.
Telling you, the bubonic plague messed up the European imagination like the Mongol horde. They just have not gotten over that. Like, rats.
When you're downtrodden and your work's worth over $1 million.
Yeah, rats.
Hard.
It is. It's tough.
In 2018, one of his rats was stolen.
Really?
Yeah. So it was stenciled on the back of a sign for the car park outside of the Pompidou Center in Paris.
Oh, I was assuming it was like one of like the larger plastic type looking rats he makes.
Yeah,
okay.
No, this was a
stencil,
but it was on a parking sign.
Yeah.
On the back of it.
So they stole the whole sign?
Yeah, the image, it was like a masked rat holding a box cutter, like it's going to make a stencil. And this wasn't the first time someone tried to take it. A year earlier, the heist of it was foiled by museum security. And so the museum, they put a piece of plexiglass around it. They put a case.
Okay. Is it at the Pompidou Center?
Okay. But that didn't stop these guys. So while the Pompidou houses Europe's biggest collection of contemporary art, it doesn't own that particular Banksy work. Nevertheless, they filed a police complaint for destruction of property.
Okay.
It was their parking sign, after all.
Oh, good point.
So a spokesman for the Pompidou Center said, quote, we are sad to inform you that Banksy's work of art facing our building on Rue Beaubourg was stolen during the night. Although this piece was not part of our collection, we were proud that the artist had chosen the side of our building to create it as an homage to the events of May 68. We are filing a legal complaint.
Whoa, May 68.
May
Just drop
68,
that in there.
you say. So let me speak on that for a second.
Please.
May 1968, the French Mai 68, was a period of incredible protests, strikes, and unrest in France that began May 1968. And it started with student demonstrations.
Yeah.
In March of that year, 150 students, as well as like some well-known poets, musicians, artists, they occupied an administration building at Paris University at Nanterre. Groups whom director Jean-Luc Godard had called the children of Marx and Coca-Cola in Masculin Féminin 2 years earlier. So,
way to bring in the Godard. I like that.
Thank you. They were protesting discrimination in French society and the political bureaucracy that was impacting the university's funding. So, cutting funding to universities, which has far-reaching and devastating effects to the culture and the economy. So this demonstration, it ended peacefully, but that's seen as like the start of the movement. The protests at Nanterre didn't stop. And so when the college cracked down on the students, other university students throughout the city, including at the Sorbonne, they joined the protest. And then the faculty joined in. And the demonstrations, they turned violent and people were arrested. But then the high school kids joined in and things got crazier. And so then the young workers joined in.
Oh, yeah.
There was a riot. Eventually, more than 1 million people marched in Paris.
Damn.
And the students, they now had the support of the public at large. And pretty soon, workers of all ages were protesting all over the country because they had grievances too. The minimum wage hadn't increased, but prices had.
Okay.
People were living paycheck to paycheck, and the working class, they were being sacrificed for the benefit of the wealthy.
And they just spent a ton of their money and their future trying to fight Algerian independence. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff going on over Indochina at the time, Vietnam.
And so there's all this momentum. Slowly, the unions start to strike. And then there's a general strike. And there were more riots. People died, but the fight continued. And so it just came to a head. And pretty soon the government collapsed and an election was called. And they were a hair away from a full revolution.
Damn.
Now remember, they know that. They know
French
revolution.
know revolutions, yes.
They've been through it before. And the French Revolution itself was inspired by the American Revolution back when we said we don't want a monarch, especially one who's going to use taxes to keep us in line with no representation or return.
Yes.
We reject dictators and kings over here.
That was our thing. That was our stance.
Yeah. So May 68, one of the most significant social uprisings in modern European history.
Totally.
It had a major impact on French politics, labor and workers, art, and like the culture writ large. And to this day, that spirit of radical thought and activism is just imbued.
Yeah, you see it in their
French
protests.
culture.
Yeah, you see very much.
Vive la France! Yeah, we totally see. Like when the farmers come and they dump manure on the steps and they wheel out barbecues
they
and
clog the streets with this giant combines.
Because you gotta make your voice heard. Back to Banksy, right? Masked rat with a knife. It was it was never recovered.
Really?
Yeah. So here it's in this space, like at the beginning, like to mark the beginning of this uprising. It's gone. It is now in that liminal space where stolen art goes. It's probably hanging in the home of like a billionaire who profits off the squelching of the rights of students and workers. Something like that. Anyway.
Possibly.
Let's take a break. And when we return, more Banksy.
Yeah.
Banksy. I've talked about pieces of his that were somewhat mobile, right? Portable.
Totally.
But the bulk of his stuff is on the side of a big building.
Yes, this is what I'm curious about. This is what I want to know. How do you steal the side of a building, Elizabeth?
It doesn't stop him from being stolen.
How?
There's this piece that he did called Slave Labor.
Okay.
And it's a stenciled image in which a young boy is like hunched over a sewing machine making Union Jack bunting.
Okay, yeah.
And it popped up on a wall in Wood Green, North London, in May of 2012, just before the Queen's Diamond Jubilee celebration.
Oh, yes.
So it was created to protest the use of sweatshops to make all the merch for the Jubilee and the 2012 Olympics. Little kids sewing the butcher's apron halfway around the world for pennies while the queen lives on the dole and the wealthy can afford to buy tickets to Olympic events.
Totally. I get it. Yeah, I feel it.
So what business was in the building where the mural was painted?
What business
Go
was
ahead
in
and
the
ask.
building that was in the mural that was painted, Elizabeth?
Thank you. Poundland.
Wait, what? Oh, right, the store.
Yeah,
No, the dollar store.
It's basically the UK equivalent of Dollar Tree.
It always sounds so dirty. And I've been in one. I know they exist. Yeah, like welcome to Pound Town.
Poundland. It started out where everything in there was a pound.
Yeah.
Like everything in Dollar Tree was $1.
Sorry,
although
totally.
I think that's not quite true anymore.
No, it's
Anyway.
gone up, yeah.
And the only way you can get a place where everything only costs $1 or a quid is for those items to have been made on the super cheap, generally by people who are not making a living wage.
Yeah, sometimes who aren't even adults.
Not even close. Yeah. And in some cases, these folks are in essence slave labor. Because they have absolutely no alternative to working for pennies a day in that factory.
Yeah, they're financially compelled into slavery.
Yeah, they're locked in. They're not like chained to a wall or anything, but they're enslaved.
They're not bought and sold, but their life might as well be.
Yes. So when that Banksy appeared on the wall, the neighborhood was stoked. According to the New York Times, quote, the work, called slave labor and depicting a downtrodden barefoot boy making Union Jacks on a sewing machine, had become a point of pride in Haringey, the site of some of the nastiest rampages in the 2011 London riots. Stenciled onto the wall of the Everything Costs a Pound Poundland store on Wymark Avenue, it drew visitors from across London and abroad. So many people asked for directions that the local subway station erected a special "This way to our Banksy" sign. There really isn't any other reason people would come to Wood Green, said Eva de Meza, who lives nearby, speaking of the neighborhood that housed the work.
That's charming.
Isn't it?
This way to our Banksy.
Zaron, close your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to picture it. You are a large Bulgarian man. Your name is Dimitar. You work in a small coffee shop / bakery called Sini on High Road in North London, in Wood Green. The sign above the door reads, in all caps, Bulgarian, Albanian, Turkish, English, Spanish, European Bakery. European's misspelled, by the way. Another sign says, in Bulgarian in block Cyrillic script, Sonny the pastry maker. You live just a few blocks away in the Sandlings estate, council housing, projects. It's a large, brutalist, brick square mass of flats. From afar, it almost looks like some sort of factory, but it's surrounded by green space and parks and trees, and it's right by the high street. Great location. So each morning, you rise early and you head over to the bakery to get things started with your coworkers. The place opens at 5:30 each morning. People come from all over to get the spinach and white cheese borek. Not just Eastern Europeans looking for a taste of home, but anyone who tries your food, even just once. You will love it, boss, you tell them. So on this morning, you're up before the light. You put on your coat against the chill of a February morning and you head out toward Wymark Avenue, the side street that runs from your place to High Road where the bakery is. What's great about this commute isn't just the short walk, but the fact that you get to walk by a famous painting every day. Banksy painted a kid sewing a banner of British flags last year. It's low on the wall to make it look like the kid's sitting on the ground. It's clever, you think. But it's also a very big deal, and a lot of people come to take pictures, either of just the piece itself or of themselves squatting next to it. The local council put a large piece of plexiglass over it to protect it from the elements and from people. The best part is that it drives a lot of foot traffic to the bakery. The people who come to take pictures feel good about themselves getting, quote, ethnic food from the neighborhood. You know that once they try that borek, though, they'll be hooked. You walk down the sidewalk, just the sound of a garbage truck in the distance and a bus going by. As you approach the corner and the Banksy, something seems off. You get closer and see that there's rubble all over the ground. Your footfall quickens as you jog over to the mural. But there is no mural. Just a big square in the plaster with the underlying brick now exposed. The Banksy is gone. You stand there in disbelief. Who steals a mural off the wall? Just then you hear a few young fellows approaching, just coming home after a night out. That's not unusual for you, to feel the start of your day past the debauched close of another's day, like, how do they say, ships in the night? It's like the blood coursing back and forth through the city, you think, in this enorming, living creature of a city. One of the boys drops a bottle and they all laugh, and as they get closer, they stop. Oi, one of them yells. What'd you do? You look at the guys and then back at the hole where the mural used to be. You put your hands up. No, I just got here. I didn't do this, you tell them. With great alarm in your voice, a level of distress that surprises you as it comes out of your mouth, you tell them that someone stole the Banksy right off the wall. The four of you now stand agog in front of the empty space. Can't have anything nice, one of the lads says. No, you tell them, we can't. So Zaron.
Yes.
Someone cut the Banksy right off the wall. I think my theory is that the plexiglass shield actually made it easier to cut around and lift the plaster in one piece.
I mean, like, I used to be a former painter, right? So if I was to attempt to cut plaster off, there are ways to do it, but to get it off of whatever it's attached to, like the substrate, the surface, like I would rather cut the bricks. But when you cut the bricks, they can start to come apart. Now you would hope that it would all be pretty, connected because of the plaster, and in time it's kind of like settled into itself, so it wouldn't be so brittle where it's just going to come apart if you remove the bricks. But if you remove the bricks, they would come at, like, you'd have to follow the grout line or else just cut right through stuff. So that's weird. So, and I'm with you that the plexiglass would basically give you a front face you can kind of lean it on as you're pulling it off the wall. It's not going to come apart in that one. Like, basically, you have a lot of dimensions you're working with. You think about it, like height, width, length, all that. So you're taking out one of those. That helps. But I would be a tough one. I would want, like, the way the art preservers do it, where you basically Dremel the whole thing off the wall. So you just cut it off and then you Dremel the backside too. So you're not really ever using chisels or anything else.
I think that's probably, it's a very clean cut.
Yeah, but I mean, and then once again, I mean, for the backside cut and getting it off the bricks, I mean, there are tools, there's ways to do this, but like, how do you muffle the noise?
I don't know, but God, I love a Dremel.
I know you do.
Anyway, the neighborhood stunned.
I bet.
They're absolutely stunned. From the New York Times, quote, "It had been ripped out with no explanation, along with quite a substantial chunk of the wall," said Alan Strickland, a member of the local council, describing the bizarre scene that greeted passersby the other weekend. All that was left was this hole. So, not long after the hole appeared, some construction guys showed up.
So it sounds like they took the bricks too.
No, you can see the bricks are there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just...
Because it would be easier if you took the bricks.
No, they didn't. These construction guys show up, they start to patch the wall. Mm-hmm. And everyone's saying, well, who hired you to do this? They won't say. They won't discuss anything.
Oh.
And that's
Is this
the thing.
Another Banksy lifts his own work?
It's like, who owns this mural, right?
Yeah.
So the legal opinion is generally that Banksy's murals are not his.
Totally.
They belong to whomever owns the wall.
Building, yeah.
And so this particular wall was not owned by Poundland, but rather the company it leases the space from, Wood Green Investments.
Okay.
And that
a local company?
They refused to comment. So a lawyer for the company, this guy by the name of Matthew Dillon, who did not star in Rumblefish or There's Something About Mary, he told the Financial Times, quote, "If they deny removing the mural, they will become embroiled in an international criminal investigation. And if they admit to consenting to it, then they will become the target of abuse. The advice to my client has been to say nothing."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
So,
but what about the idea that they would remove it and secretly sell it because they own it?
That's what I think. So he said that his clients didn't report any theft to the police.
There you go.
So that kind of... So it was just weeks later that the mural resurfaced.
Oh.
Weeks. This time in Miami.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a big thing there, a big event.
Yeah. Well, Fine Art Auctions, they were prepping to sell it at their auction. They figured it would get...
I assume it's going to be like Art Basel.
Yeah, no, it showed up at an auction house.
Huh.
They figured it would get between $500,000, $700,000.
Oh, man. And
so Frederick Thutt, or Thut, I don't know, T-H-U-T. I'm going to call it Thutt because you know what? I'm American. He's the owner of Fine Art Auctions Miami. He said the piece was being sold by a, quote, well-known collector who is not British. But he would say no more about that, except for the fact that the painting was being stored in Europe, was not in Miami.
Okay.
And so back in Wood Green, Haringey, the neighborhood was irate.
I bet.
So Councilor Alan Strickland, he said that artwork was a gift to the community. And so he started an email write-in campaign to the auction house to get the artwork returned. and they went bonkers. Like, they just would not stop.
Yes.
And to show the power of collective nonviolent action, at the very last minute, the auction was dramatically halted.
Good for them.
And I'm talking moments before it was due to go under the hammer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We know that the emails didn't do it, though.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Those sorts
Can
of
I
campaigns...
have my, like, Frank Capra
no,
fictions?
because let's be real. Those things just annoy the targets instead of getting results.
That's true.
No, the rumor had it that the auction house pulled it on advice from their lawyers. In response to that, the auctioneers issued a statement, quote, although there are no legal issues whatsoever regarding the sale of lots 6 and 7 by Banksy, FAAM convinced its consigners to withdraw these lots from the auction and take back the power of authority of these works. So he mentioned lots 6 and 7.
Yes.
There was another Banksy at that auction. The second one was a 2007 piece called Wet Dog, and that was removed from a Bethlehem wall and is estimated to be worth up to $800,000.
Like not Pennsylvania Bethlehem, like the Holy Land Bethlehem. Like where...
Birthplace of Jesus.
Yeah, okay.
Noah, that one was pulled just a few hours before slave labor was. And he said that the two pieces were brought to auction by separate owners and neither of them were British. So he also said that he would maintain the privacy of the collector who put them up for sale. Quote, we respect our clients and their confidentiality. It is not our decision to have the Banksy returned. We only sell it. We do not have control of it.
I love how like auction houses act like they have like attorney-client privilege with their clients. Like, you have to understand.
They're my priest.
Man, you're all just trying to profit. Don't act like you're being like, on an ethical high horse here.
Well, in the meantime, new work had popped up where slave labor had been. Someone, likely Banksy, it was posited, had stenciled a little rat next to the hole, holding a sign saying, why? And then that was quickly plexiglassed over. And then,
we'll take this. We're hanging on to this one.
And then another stencil reading, danger, thieves, showed up. And then over the new blank plaster where the hole was, someone did like a small hot pink dinosaur. Those two were not in the style of Banksy.
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
That sounds
Later,
like
there was a woman in a nun's habit with no mouth and a red star over one eye that covered up the dinosaur.
Like Ziggy Stardust kind of style?
Yeah, very much so. Various murals have taken over throughout the years. Right now, it's a sewing machine on top of a plinth of a statue that had been taken down in a protest. That one got people all excited, but ArtNet burst everyone's bubble in 2022 with the headline, Womp Womp. Turns out this mural Londoners thought was a Banksy is actually just a tribute by a local fan artist.
I love ArtNet.
I know, right?
It's so snarky.
Let me show you what it looks like. This is the current Google Street View.
Okay.
So there's, a bunch of stuff around there.
Yeah.
And, you've got it's palm oil or me, you choose, and there's a picture of
of orangutan.
Chimp or whatever.
Chimp or whatever. Big on the
some
palm
sort
oil
of
debate.
simian, I don't know. So back to these bubbles. Back to slave labor.
Let's just say you're team chocolate. That's all I'm hearing.
I totally didn't need Nutella. Okay, so just a few months after that Miami auction was canceled, it popped up again, slave labor.
Oh, I thought the auction did. Hey, we're back.
Hello. This time for sale at an auction by the Sincura Group in Covent Garden in London.
Sincura.
Whatever. Who cares? They said that the mural, I'm getting faster and looser.
Yes, I noticed.
They said the mural had, quote, been sensitively restored under a cloak of secrecy.
Ooh.
And would go up for sale along pieces by Damien Hirst, Andy Warhol, Mario Testino.
That's how I get my hair cut, under a cloak of secrecy.
By Mario Testino. So once again...
I cut his hair.
Once again...
Yes.
Neighborhood groups lost their slippers.
I bet.
Keith Flett, secretary of the local trades union Congress, he told the Guardian newspaper, quote, the slave labor Banksy belongs to the people of Haringey, not a wealthy private client. We want the sale stopped and the Banksy back where it belongs in London N22.
I know this is going to sound crazy, but you keep saying the term slave labor, and as like a black man hearing slave labor, and it's all these people talking about profiting off this stuff, it just hits the ear different.
Well, and when you're typing it out like I was, where I'm making a note to myself, so then slave labor popped up again.
Exactly.
Like it's a
little casual,
and it's a little strange.
Totally.
Yeah. So Sincura, they said that they, in a statement, quote, We are approached by building owners to remove the artwork illegally painted on their sites. And they said apparently they salvage and uncover murals from walls across London, Liverpool, and Berlin.
Okay.
They say that they don't own the pieces and they don't make any money, but they're just like fixers who were hired to reclaim them.
In the hood, they have these places that we'll buy your house. You'll see signs all over the place.
Yeah.
It feels like this, but like we'll take that.
We'll take that
We'll take your art.
Well, this is what they
sell it somewhere, and we'll split the profits with you.
They said, quote, the building owners have not asked for the art to be placed on their premises or for the ongoing attention received from it. What is more, they run the very real risk of having a grade 2 listing applied to their premises, which seriously affects their business operations and resale value. Though loved by the public, these are often a hindrance to the building owners. And then according to The Guardian, quote, the company said they then worked to restore the iconic graffiti works, which had often been the subject of vandalism or theft and would, they claim, otherwise be doomed to a fate of unceremonious decay and erosion.
It's kind of the point of graffiti.
Yeah.
It's why it's not on a canvas.
The auction actually went through
Meant
this
to
time.
be for the people.
Meant to be for the people and
in those places, transitory, impermanent, part of changed by
here's
nature.
a fun sentence for you.
Sure.
Slave labor sold it to an unidentified buyer.
You hear it now, right?
I hear it. Oh, I've been hearing it. Slave labor sold to an unidentified buyer. If 750,000 pounds, it was like 1.1 million at the time.
Okay.
But it's not over, Zaron.
No, I bet not.
Fast forward to 2018.
Slave labor sticks around, Elizabeth, no matter how hard you try.
Slave labor was sold again. This time.
It just keeps coming back.
This time at Julian's Auctions in Los Angeles.
Oh, I know.
American artist Ron English bought it for $730,000. So we had some depreciation.
Yeah, sounds like it.
He said he had plans for it. He vowed to whitewash it in protest of the market in street art.
Wait, he's going to paint over the Banksy?
Yeah, he told the press, quote, this is a blow for street art. It shouldn't be bought and sold.
Was he going to film himself doing this and then sell that?
Well, he himself is a street artist.
That's what I'm guessing. He's going to turn it into some kind of like
$750,000 hanging around. Plus, you get the fees. I don't know. He's reaching up on $900,000.
You know, I've mentioned her a few times on this show, but the artist Pipolotti Rist, she took a sledgehammer and destroyed a car one time.
Yeah.
It's like a whole performance art piece. It sounds like this guy should do that kind of stuff, but I bet he doesn't have the eggs, the ovaries to do that.
Listen, because that was one of the things. There were so many stolen Banksies that like I could do 2 more episodes, but then it's, I bet there's tons. It's just too much.
And some of the stories I bet are not as fun.
Well, there's the one though is the balloon girl.
Yes,
that very
that's what I was thinking about.
Went through the shredder as part of like
the
his
process
statement.
Yeah.
And so I think that this guy's kind of, riding that high. Anyway, this guy, he's had plenty of tangles with the law for using public billboards, that sort of stuff, public spaces for his paintings, sculptures. He said, quote, I'm going to paint over it and just include it on one of the walls in my house. We're tired of people stealing our stuff off the streets and reselling it. So I'm just going to buy everything I can get my hands on and whitewash it. But then
the we in there was doing a lot of work. I mean, like
lifting.
putting himself and Banksy into one collective pronoun like that.
Well, he says that my buddy Banksy, but you're like,
my buddy Banksy.
Yeah.
He sounds like a Mr. Brainwash, where it's like my buddy Banksy, the guy from the exit through the gift shop.
Yes, exactly. Then he said that he does plan to sell it, maybe for like $1 million.
Oh, look at that!
And then he said, "quote I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid."
Sir, you're a lot of things.
Yeah. So there's no word on how that's going.
Yeah.
And what does Banksy think of all this?
What does Banksy think of all this, Elizabeth?
That's a great question, Zaron.
Thank you.
He released a statement quoting Henri Matisse.
Ooh.
Quote, I was very embarrassed when my canvases began to fetch high prices. I saw myself condemned to a future of painting nothing but masterpieces.
Huh. Interesting.
So Banksy has said in the past that, quote, for the sake of keeping all street art where it belongs, I'd encourage people not to buy anything by anybody unless it was created for sale in the first place.
There you go.
There it is.
Boom.
That's great advice for everything.
Hey, yeah.
Zaron, what's your ridiculous takeaway?
Okay, this will probably blow your mind, but maybe this is the time to tell you, or just to tell everybody at the same time, I'm Banksy.
What?
I know. You didn't see that coming.
I so did not. I did not have that on my list of theories.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I read my note wrong. I'm Batman.
Oh, that makes even more sense.
Nope. Sorry, still read that wrong. Sorry, I'm Bartman.
Oh.
No, that's line through. I don't know what my notes say here.
Why not all?
I'm a lot of things,
You're
Elizabeth.
every woman.
Yes, I'm a multitude that starts with B. What about you? What's your ridiculous takeaway?
My ridiculous takeaway is that, that like you pointed out that this, my good friend Banksy, like this, everyone in one way or another wants to hitch a ride on this stuff, whether it's like, bringing people to the neighborhood, and it's only one passing reference in all of the press did I read, did people point out that this is on the side of a dollar store, basically, and
where there was unrest in 2011, where protests.
But like, we're talking about slave labor. Like, go inside and buy some, and but the neighborhood, they just thought of it as like this is this huge thing, which it is.
It's bringing all these people to.
And like some of the pictures when you search slave labor Banksy, you see like the people sitting on the ground next to it smiling, and it's like a lot in much of this. The point is missed.
I hope he gets a laugh out of a lot of this.
I hope so too. Yeah. You know what I need though? In addition to many laughs, I need a talk back, David.
Talk back. Oh my God! Did he just say that?
OMG.
Hey guys, thanks for keeping a smile on my face when everything seems to be going wrong. Olivia?
Well, we got your back because we feel you 100%.
We got to keep a smile on our faces.
Yeah. I mean, I learned that a long time ago that humor is one way to defeat anger, evil, small-mindedness, hate.
And here's the thing, though.
It's important. It's life-affirming.
But at the same time,
community-minded.
We can't beat ourselves up when we feel overwhelmed.
Yes. Yes.
And in any time during our lives now, before, in the future, whatever it is, like if it's a lot for you, know that it's okay. It's a lot for you. It's a lot for all of us. So don't feel bad about it. But yeah, you got to keep a smile on your face, or the close proximity thereof.
Totally. We're here, to be both a distraction, some entertainment, and also a community, and also to let you know we are right there with you with the don't let the bastards get you down.
Yeah, that's the truth. And that's it. That's a good sign off for today. You can find us online at ridiculouscrime.com. Award-winning website. Did you know that every 3 hours we win a Webby Award?
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a new record. It's a new thing they created just for us.
I hope they got a good tally machine.
They do. It's a guy with a clicker.
Keep that thing on him.
Yeah, they do. We're also at Ridiculous Crime on Blue Sky and Instagram. And you can email us at ridiculouscrime@gmail.com and then leave us a talkback on the iHeart app. Reach out. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett. Produced and edited by the real Banksy. True identity finally revealed, Dave Kustin. Starring Annalise Rutger as Judith. Research is by Balloon Girl Marissa Brown. The theme song is by Parachuting Rat Thomas Lee and Flower Thrower Travis Dutton. Post wardrobe is provided by Botany 500. Guest hair and makeup by Sparkle Shot and Mr. Andre. Executive producers are Flying Copper Ben Bolin and Gorilla in a Pink Mask Noel Brown.
Ridiculous Crime.
Say it one more time.
Ridiculous Crime.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.